Good morning. It's morning for me still because I haven't worked yet. Happy Saturday. The flip calendar that I always read from, not always, but sometimes, I sometimes read from a devotional book, but this flip calendar is Jesus Calling. It's really cool. And the reading today was really awesome. And some of the highlights of it are, it's God talking and saying, I'm working my ways in you. I'm making room. I'm clearing out the clutter. And you have to be willing to let go of anything I choose to take away. And I thought, wow, I talk a lot about willingness and being willing to feel something, being willing to lose something, be willing to roll with the circumstances. So this passage today talks about that, and I'll be willing to let go of anything I take away. I know what you need, and I have promised to provide all of that abundantly. And then this line is really good. It says, your sense of security must not rest in your possessions or in things going your way. I'm training you to depend on me alone and finding fulfillment in my presence. So, this is tough because as human beings, we want things to go a certain way, and we attach ourselves to certain possessions, certain circumstances, certain people, certain places, certain homes. We really do. And God sometimes gets lost in that. And, God's urging us to acceptance and surrender and to allow yourself to receive whatever's going to happen. And it goes on to say, instead of grasping and controlling, you're learning to release and receive. So if you think about grasp and control and release and receive, they're two very vastly different things. But every one of us has a tendency to grasp and control in all circumstances in life. If you think about it, it's not just to an idea or to a person or to a job. Sometimes it's just while we're trying to teach our children something, or while we're playing a sport, we all want to grasp and control. We're taught to that's what we need to do is battle and control and lead and be dominant in that way and make sure that we have everything we need and taken care of. And the way that we think it needs to go, it has to go that way. And so this was pretty on point for the day today, because today was the results of the election. Pretty much the results of the election, but it was just saying, cultivate this receptive stance by trusting me in every situation. And so, even if you're not a Christian person, it doesn't matter. You could replace this language with something else of God. It has trauma around it for you. It has a stigma. But God, Spirit, Source, your Creator is saying to trust, to go into me more and get out of this whole attachment to other things going your way, a certain circumstance happening, and all that stuff. So, I asked to have compassion today because, there were two sides. There's a lot of duality that has happened and a lot of splitting between these two parties that previously I felt were able to kind of work together. I feel like now is more of a split than ever. And there's civil unrest and there's chaos, and half of the people in this country are hurting and sad and afraid right now, and the other half feel more safe and more happy and more at peace and feel like they can breathe, right? And they feel excited and whatever the case. So let's honor both sides. We have to honor both sides in us as grasping and controlling, and then there's times where we have to let go, release, and receive. And so at this time, if you get the lesson as a whole and what it's trying to teach us, it's have compassion for your fellow people and understanding that everybody's going to see and feel something different based on their traumas and their experiences and their beliefs. And sometimes we have to let go and say, okay, this is what is. I trust the process. I trust God. I trust that God has this under control. And I submit to the will of God, whatever that will may be. And just relax into what is. And other people may be panicking right now and worried and fear. And that, right there, that type of energy is dark. That's the dark force. That's the low vibration. That's the devil. Whatever lingo resonates with you and makes you feel better about what I'm saying. But the dark agenda is to get us to continue to fight like this, to get us to continue to split and duel and battle and be very head to head. And there was no win in this situation. Either way, whatever side won, there was going to be fear and hurt and stress, and the battle is going to go on because the battle has been staged. And if you really look at all of the politicians, not just one side or the other, the whole thing, just step back and look at it and just be like, is this not like kind of screwed up a little bit? There's an energy behind it where there's another motive, there's another agenda, there's another force at work that we really don't know what it is. But if we succumb to going down the rabbit hole and this battle against each other in our own country, in our own humanity against each other's as humans, we're in for some shit. You're in for some suffering. When you attach to this and you let this take you down, when you don't release and receive, and when you're not putting your eyes on source and creator and trusting and being in the flow, and you're resisting that, you're going to suffer. So the people on either side of this, if you're too deep into it, there's going to be some kind of suffering. So, if we could take a moment today as we're going about our day, if you're a person who's celebrating, honor the other side and say, you know what, there's other people that are upset, and I honor that. And if you're the person who's upset and stressed out and you want to spew hate out there, or you want to hate on somebody who's celebrating and say, you know what, I don't know what it's like to be them. None of us know what it's like to be the other person on the other side. No, not a lot of people are going to know what it's like to be on all facets of this. And so this whole political thing and what it represents is, it takes one thing and it takes your emotion and it reels you in with like a fishing line. And it was like, oh, this person feels really passionately about abortion, about pro-life. Boom, hook, line, and sinker. Let's reel them in to get a bunch of votes or to do this or to do that because they feel very passionately about that. But there's two sides to everything. I as a therapist get to see all sides, and I can understand a person who has had trauma and has suffered in life because they had an abortion and they figured that was the wrong thing to do and that their life was spent, in a really dark place because of it. And then they realized once they release that and let that go that they're so much better. And now they fight so that nobody can ever go and feel that way. But that's their individual experience. Just like on the other side of the coin, the doctor who saved 10 lives because they had to perform abortions to save the parent and not have 7 children be orphaned as a result, sees it from a different perspective. Like they're the ones that has to choose who lives and dies and whatever the case is, and there's even other sides to it where somebody, when the 13 or 14-year-old child, gets involved with a 20-year-old man and gets pregnant and is now forced to have the child, or does she have an abortion? Either way, there's a trauma. We can't stop trauma. It's not going to be stopped. And so the fighting about these specific things in a grand scheme of a political party is obscene. It's kind of ridiculous if you break it down and really think about it. And so, if you take the issues in bulk and look at the whole thing as a big picture and get unattached from your specific one track, then you'll have more peace in your life, So it's like I'm an LGBTQ member and, I could have gone into fear when I could have said, I'm going to be in fear if there's more Republicans in office and Senate and House and stuff because, my rights would get taken away and the right to adopt, the right to marry, I could get messed with a little bit. You know what? If it is, then so be it. I can't control all these circumstances. And so if it's the will of God and that's what's happening on earth right now, then that's what's happening. I just let it go and I release, surrender, and just allow myself to be in a place of peace. Because I refuse to allow any of this to derail me into a place of fear and hate and toxicity to my fellow folks. So the reading today was just so important. Because, no matter what it is you believe, no matter who you are, no matter what side of this fence you're on, if you're a mixed bag person who likes a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I mean, I was always the one that says, I want to be able to get married to a woman and have my gun. Well, yeah, I should be able to do that, as an individual. And I would like the prices of gas to stay low. At the same time, I'd like to be protected by the police. At the same time, on the other hand, I mean, I would like to be able to not have my business closed down, but also, it's kind of crazy that we have to be filtered out into two sides and have this duel. And that's the agenda. It's the agenda of whatever is greater. Now, I don't want to get involved. It's for another video to get involved as to what I believe those deep, dark forces are and what that agenda consists of, because you could be like, man, she's crazy. I can't believe she believes this. So I'm not getting into that today. Today, I just want to send love, remind you that God is love, and that, if you stay in a place of love throughout all of this, then you're going to find more peace, and you're going to find more peace with your fellow human beings, not your fellow Democrats or your fellow Republicans. You're going to be in a place of peace with other humans. We are humans on this planet, and there are still other countries out there that are waiting for us to just fall apart. So what are we going to do? Are we going to be the United States, or are we just going to fucking fall apart, at this point? So, and it's such a great message today, that it comes from Psalm 29:2 and it comes from Psalm 27:4. That's where these readings were derived from. And I encourage you to go check them out today. Read Psalm 29:2, read Psalm 27:4, read the whole Psalm and just see how it feels and sit with it. See how it feels to you. But the bottom line is, your sense of security, safety, peace, happiness, joy, whatever it is, cannot be dependent on outside circumstances. It can't be dependent on things you have, circumstances that you need to be, relationships you need to be in, this, that, and the other. And that is the art of letting go, and the art of getting more in touch with your Creator, getting more in touch with Spirit, and Holy Spirit residing in you. You can feel that fill you up, and you feel like your energy shifted. So however you need to get into that place today, if it's to go out in nature, if it's to, go talk to somebody that you trust, if it's to sit and pray, if it's to meditate, if it's to be still and breathe and do breath work, whatever it is you need to do today, just go do it. You get yourself back into a place of balance and look at the bigger picture. I have to go. My dog is screaming outside because he's stuck around a tree, per usual. So have a wonderful weekend.